understand why it is so orange. Maybe that's why. That will help. Anyway, that's gonna make another fun thumbnail. So yes, another talk from the pajamas. So I didn't get it together again today. I know, slacker. And the boyfriend is playing video games again right now, so you might hear background noise and you might hear noises that are unadvertiser friendly. So yeah, that's gonna be a thing. But so I'm sitting here and I'm talking and I'm talking and I don't even know much, and it's really kind of random video today. Oh, I was just thinking about along with the Christmas themed stuff that I've been doing, I wanted to talk about some traditions that my family does. Now, my mom married my stepdad when I was 4, and he's pretty awesome. He's a cool guy. He's pretty cool. Yeah. Well, he was born on Christmas. His mom named him Chris after like Chris Kringle or something. Wow, that is not good for me right here. Anyway, after Chris Kringle, and he so yeah, Santa Claus, named after Santa Claus. So when my mom married him, every year she would make a cake for him for his birthday and stuff like that, and try to have part of Christmas, like the morning was actually Christmas and like the afternoon day was his. So that's what she tried to do to make the distinction. And if we could, we'd have people over, and which was a lot of times didn't happen, and a lot of times sometimes it was just weird because it was just weird. But anywho, so we'd put up a tree and we'd put up lights, and my mom's thing is every year, I want a manger scene. I don't want to put it up. Oh, I want Christmas lights. I don't want to put them up. Like, I remember when I was real little, my parents would put Christmas lights around the bushes outside the house. Like, we had like a fence of bushes that went like maybe halfway around the house, and they would put Christmas lights on that. And we'd put up a tree, and that might be about it. That would probably be about it. So then my mom wanted a manger scene, and she would get manger scene. One year she got like 4 manger scenes, so she would kind of alternate back and forth the one she put up, and I would usually end up putting the Christmas tree up, and usually putting the Christmas tree up would be me and my brother's job, which would turn into our annual Christmas fight. No, I'm not tangling up the lights. Yes, you are. No, I'm not spreading out you're not spreading the branches out right. Yes, you are. Yes, I am. And that kind of, so there was the annual Christmas fight, and if you had siblings, grew up with siblings, you know what I mean. So yeah. So for a few years, my mom, since we're Christian, my mom would celebrate the birth of Christ on Christmas, and she would bake a cake for my dad and bake a cake for Jesus. Well, we would never eat both cakes. It was like, we're fat fluffies, but that's a lot of cake. Okay, that's a lot of cake. So then she wised up and only made one cake, and she was like, Jesus, you can share a cake, right? And I'm sure he was like, yeah, I can share a cake. But one year she forgot. She put Merry Christmas, Jesus, and she meant to put Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, Jesus, and Chris, because that's my dad's name. She put Happy Birthday, Jesus Christ. As my aunt came by, I went, that don't look good. I was like, didn't mean that the way it happened. So, but yeah, we usually would have roast beef because we had turkey on Thanksgiving, and we don't really eat pork. So we would have the roast beef on Thanksgiving, or sometimes we'd have turkey, and I think, yeah, one year we had deer. Yes, we ate Bambi's mom, and yes, she was delicious. Um, and then one year we were all super sick. Oh my gosh, we had, as I affectionately refer to it, Montezuma's Revenge. If you don't know what that is, you can Google it and you'll find out, and I'm not getting into it, but it was not fun. So, for Christmas and New Year's, it was pass the cookies, pass the crackers, pass the soda, and now, watch me as So we ended up drinking 8 ounces of tomato juice every hour on the hour. And that killed off the virus, and that helped. Usually every year, it never failed, around Christmas, I would get sick. I would get a cold or a flu or something, and end up on steroids, and then my mom would get sick, and then other people get sick, and we lived at this little 2-bedroom place. I lived behind a drive-in. I need to make a video about that because that was interesting. I lived behind a drive-in that showed Christian films during the summertime, and then in the wintertime we just kind of made sure the building stayed standing. And we didn't have a whole lot of room there. It was just a 2-bedroom place, but we made it work, and I put up a Christmas tree and there. And so one year it was kind of like, okay, shuffle this way, shuffle that way, make room for the tree and stuff. And my mom was always big on getting practical presents. Like, even as kids, she would get us, she'd ask, okay, what do you need? What do you want? And whatever we needed, she would get that first. And then if we wanted something and she could still afford it, then she'd get that. And one year, she would, like, my dad she'd go shopping for a bunch of stuff, and then she'd just tell my dad, okay, just pick out what you want to be from you to Christina, or pick out what you want from Paul to you, and she'd be like, okay, this and this. And so one year she really wasn't paying attention what she was wrapping, and I had told her I needed some undergarments, bras and panties for Christmas, and she wrapped them up, and I'm like, oh, this is from Dad, this is nice. I had no idea what was inside. And I was a teenager then, so, like, if you said the word fart, I was like, oh, embarrassed, or period, or cramps, or anything that could be construed with anything. I was embarrassed about everything. I went through that phase. Yeah. Grow out of that now, I'm just like, I don't care. But, so I'm unwrapping it, and I'm like, oh, that's nice. Oh, when I pull it out, it was a package of panties. It was a package of underwear. And there was another one with a package of bras. And I was like, I don't think that was from my dad. Nope. And I was like, Mom, Dad got me this. My boyfriend in the back goes, But no. She's like, oh, I labeled those wrong. And I'm like, she's like, I just labeled them wrong. The money came from your dad anyway, so what's the big difference? And I'm like, it's embarrassing. But yeah, so just some fun Christmas memories. Christmas, my mom always tried to make it a big deal at her house, because growing up, they didn't have the money, and her parents didn't make it a big deal, so she wanted to make it a big deal for us. So even when my parents didn't have a whole lot of money, they tried their very best to make Christmas a big deal for me and my brother and for themselves, and it was always nice. It was, there was usually some type of fight between me and my brother or some type of something, but, it was generally always nice. And when we actually got down to eat, or when we sit down and open up presents, or we would sit down and have dinner or play a board game together or whatever, it was nice. And one year for Christmas before my mom got married to my dad. I'll tell you this, and then I'll hang up for the vloggage. But it was just me and my mom, and she was working, and she was going to school, and she got some help that year for Christmas, but I didn't know. And we were walking in Myers or Walmart or someplace like that, and I saw this, and they still have them. It's the soap with the Barbie doll's head on it or whatnot, a character's head on it. And I said, Mom, I want that soap. And she was like, I said, I want that. And she's like, what do you want that? I was like, because it's soap and it's got a Barbie doll's head on it. And she was, you only got like 4 ounces of soap in the bottle, or 6 ounces. You didn't get a whole lot. And she's like, well, if you want soap, I will buy you soap. If you want a Barbie doll, I will buy you a Barbie doll. But I'm not buying you half a doll and half a bar of soap. So it was, I kind of went, okay, and just kind of got upset about it, but then moved on. You know, I'm a kid. Well, when I opened up Christmas presents that year, I was like, my mom and I never did the Santa. She never did the Santa thing with me. She didn't do that. And I opened up this bag and this package, and it had the exact same Barbie doll head soap. And I was like, Mom, where did this come from? I was like, Santa? And she was like, Jesus Claus sent it to us. Jesus Claus. So yeah, it was neat. I always really enjoyed Christmas with my parents and stuff, and I'm hoping this year it will be as nice and everything. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.